I know I may get a lot of hate from saying this, but I believe that the same way that our African sisters are trained for marriages is the same way that the African men should be trained for marriage. Because tell me why a girl that is as young as, let's say, 10, 11, 12, does something, and all of a sudden they'll be like, no man will marry you when you do that. No man will marry you with this kind of behavior. No man will marry you with this kind of attitude. As if the only achievement that this person can ever get in their life is getting married. Like, why even telling a 12-year-old girl about marriage? Why telling a 10-year-old no one will marry you? Welcome back to the Shaki Unfiltered podcast. I am your host, Shakira, and today we are having a solo episode. But I promise in the next episode, we're going to be having a guest that will be discussing with a particular topic. Thank you so much for those that have subscribed, but most of you guys that are engaging with my content have unfortunately not subscribed to our channel. That is what the analytics tell me. Yes, most of you haven't subscribed yet. Please do not forget to subscribe because that means the world to me. Those that have already subscribed, thank you so much. Don't forget to comment, like, share because that will help the growth of the channel very, very much. So today's topic is a bit sensitive because this is something that most of us do not want to talk about, but it's also something that is very common within our African communities, and that is how our African women are raised for marriages, but African men are rarely raised to be husbands, and these two are not even the same thing. From the time a girl is young, the lessons begin. You need to learn how to cook. You don't have to talk back. You need to respect men. You need to sit properly. Learn how to take care of a home. Endure. Be patient. Do not embarrass your husband. Men are difficult. Understand them. Like the lessons are endless. But when it comes to raising a boy child, there is lots of excuses. All of a sudden, oh, he's a man after all. He's a man. He's a boy. He doesn't need to do that because he's a boy. Some girls hear these lessons for so long that their identities are now all about getting married. Their whole life, the only thing that they're aspiring for is a marriage. They don't have any other conversation because they have been brainwashed that marriage is the best thing that can ever happen to them. So their whole identity is all about getting married. It's all about pleasing a man. It's all about making a man happy. Tell me why a girl that is as young as, let's say, 10, 11, 12, does something, and all of a sudden they'll be like, no man will marry you when you do that. No man will marry you with this kind of behavior. No man will marry you with this kind of attitude. As if the only achievement that this person can ever get in their life is getting married. Like, why even telling a 12-year-old girl about marriage? Why telling a 10-year-old no one will marry you? Imagine being a child and marriage is already being hung in your throat like it's an exam that you must pass. And nobody's going to be worried about how this person will be treated in the marriage, how will she be fine, will she be safe? No. They only care about if this girl will be chosen. Seriously. Because listen, it's so funny how our African parents, or I don't know if this is something that is everywhere in the world, but I've mostly seen it here in Africa, Uganda. Let me be specific because I've not traveled Africa anyway. It's so common that the men are excused, even in the marriages, they are so excused. Because tell me why a man will batter his wife so badly, the wife will go back to their parents' house. They'll not even worry about this woman, the lady. And the moment that the husband that battered their daughter comes to them and just throws around some flattering words, all of a sudden they're telling the woman, oh, men will always be men. You need to pray for your husband. You need to go back. You need to be strong. You need to be patient. Like the kind of words that you will hear. It's so, so frustrating and it's so annoying. Like, will you only be happy if your daughter is killed in this marriage? You know, tell me why you're trusting someone that you've only known for 2 years, for example, instead of your daughter that you've been with for the last 20 something years. And all of a sudden, you're taking this man's side who you've only known for 3 years and who you've only known because of your daughter. The words of men will always be men, boys will always be boys. They are always expecting the women to bend themselves for these men, if a man cheats, all of a sudden it's, oh, you need to pray for him. It's the devil. You need to be strong. The devil is trying to destroy your home. How about the man is destroying the home? Seriously, it's so annoying. Actually, I did ask myself a question one time like, what does marriage benefit women? Yes, this is something that I asked myself for a very long time. I know some of you are going to say, oh, Shakira, you're talking about this, but you're married. Yes, I know I'm married. But this is something that I asked myself for the longest. What does marriage really benefit a woman, most especially here in Uganda or in Africa? Because to me, at that time, I actually still see most of the marriages around me as slavery. It's just beautified slavery for the women. Seriously, I do not know. I don't care how you're going to handle this or how you're going to take this because at the end of the day, it's my opinion. But that's what I see. Seriously, I never saw any benefit that a woman was getting from a marriage. Let me give you an example. You're married and you're obligated to wake up and maybe make breakfast for your husband as early as 5 a.m. in the morning. Actually, I was once living with some relative of mine, and the wife of that relative of mine used to wake up as early as 5 a.m. in the morning to make breakfast. And she used to make heavy breakfast. She would peel matoke, cook some beef, cook, breakfast for the husband. And the husband is sleeping at that time. And the husband would wake up at around 6. And at this time, the lady has maybe warmed up water. You know how our village life is. We don't have like showers and boilers. You have to literally warm water for your husband. So the wife has already warmed up water. The lady has taken the water in the bathroom, and then she will go and wake her husband up. Oh, mister, your water is ready. Please go take a shower. So then he will go take his shower. And after his shower, he will come and sit down and they will serve him breakfast. As they're serving him, as he's eating breakfast, the lady is brushing, getting his clothes ready. He's polishing his shoes. Like these men are treated like, I don't know, gods or something. They don't do anything for themselves. It's not like it's a problem, but it gets to a point like that is where this question began to form in my head because that relative of mine, no offense, never used to do anything. When he would get back from work, he would drop his bag there. The lady would take his coat and he would sit. They would draw for him the bath. His only role was to come home, sit down, and watch TV, watch the news. I know some of you are going to be like, "Oh, but he will be he's a provider. He's a provider." All of you are providing for the home because this is actually another thing that most of us do not want to talk about. How the ladies provide more in African homes than the men, even though you sell this whole narrative of, African men are providers. But we know for a fact that our African mothers are doing more than 50. I know, like when you put a time to it, it becomes a bit annoying because when somebody comes out and is like, I want us to do a 50-50 this marriage, you'll be like, oh my goodness, I can never do that. I'm an African woman. But at the end of the day, you're doing more than 50-50. Seriously, some of us think that 50-50 is only financial. No, it's all about everything. I have seen so many women, African, Ugandan women, that are doing the most in their marriages. They're paying house rent, they're buying food on their own money, and the man is just still coming around to only sit and eat. Yes, there's so many of them, and you, for a fact, you also know a few people around you that do that. The only difference is there is no specific term to that. You get there is no specific one word that is going to describe that. But the moment somebody's going to be like, this we're doing 50-50, oh my goodness, our African mothers are doing 70-30. Because you know why? Because they are trained, to endure with the man. They're trained to be patient. All that talk that you get from as early as maybe 10 years old, 12 years old. And you get it even becomes worse with some communities. They will even bring your relative, your auntie, to sit you down just to train you, tell you what a man wants, tell you how you must obey your husband, how you must worship your husband, how your husband is never wrong. You cannot say anything to your husband, like husband, husband, husband. Anyway, back to the story. The lady was working as well. It's not like she was jobless. She was working. And after all of this, she would go take care of herself. and also go back to work. And when she comes back, which was almost like maybe 2 hours difference from when the time the man comes back home, she's expected to begin making dinner, preparing everything, and then the man will come back and he will not even lift a finger. It's worse when you go to a family where this man doesn't take any sort of advice. Like this man thinks his word is final. There is so many men like this in homes that are literally devils. They are dictators in their own homes. Even their own children cannot stand them. When the man comes back from work and the children maybe are probably sitting in the living room enjoying, the moment they will notice that it's their dad coming, they will all scatter in different directions. We know these people. But why? This all brings us back to the foundation that our community is raising us with. You know, our lady out there, her only wish right now is to get married. Her only wish, she feels like if she gets married, everything will be fine. And that wouldn't be a problem. Because, yeah, if marriage is going to make you happy, well and good. In our communities, women are told how to tolerate men before they are even told how to protect themselves emotionally. And I'm even sorry to ask this, but why are women trained to tolerate suffering? Why does it seem like suffering is the highest form of womanhood? Because there's some women who are out there that are even going to get into a marriage prepared to shrink themselves just so they can accommodate the husband. They think by shrinking themselves, the marriage is going to last. Tell me why you think it's weird to train your son how to cook, how to clean after himself, how to wash his own clothes. Why do you think that's weird? Obviously, they'll be like, oh, that's a lady's work. Men cannot do that. Yes, that is the talk that you always hear. That's ladies' work. And you will also find men that will be like, oh, you can never catch me doing this. And when they say other men that do that, they'll be like, oh, it's either you've been bewitched. Seriously, it's either you've been bewitched by that woman or there's something wrong with your brain. There's actually a guy in my village. So this guy was a school head teacher, but he was this kind of person that always helped out. You'd sometimes find him with a broom sweeping around the compound. Sometimes you'd find him outside with some laundry and doing some laundry with his hands. Tell me why there was a rumor in my village that that man was bewitched. Everybody would be like, oh, that lady spoiled that man so much. He doesn't have any sense. The lady bewitched him. The man does not think for himself. He even washes her panties and all of that. But when a woman is washing the inner wares of a man, that is, oh, she's so nice. But when it's a man doing that for his wife, all of a sudden, the man has been bewitched. He's not in his senses. And it becomes worse with the in laws, like the family of the man. Oh, our son has been bewitched. That lady is a witch. Why is that weird? It's normal. And that is why when I'm raising my siblings, I'm the guardian of my siblings and they're boys. So while raising them, I make sure that they know that doing laundry is not something that is for only ladies. Cooking is not something that only ladies should do. These are necessities. These are things that you should know as a human being, not because it's not determined by your gender. It's not a gender role. You get, because time is gonna come in your life where probably you don't have any females around you, but you need to cook. Are you going to starve yourself because okay, cooking is for ladies? Some men actually believe that being a husband is all about providing financially, having money. They think that is what being a husband is all about. Providing matters in marriage 100%, but you need to know that marriage is not all about paying bills. You cannot financially provide for a woman when you're emotionally starving her. You've had these stories, you find a lady and they'll be like, oh, her husband gives her everything, but maybe she cheated. I'm not condoning cheating, you get, but you've had those stories at one time. That's what I'm trying to tell you, that you cannot financially provide for a woman when you're emotionally starving her. You cannot call yourself a leader of a home if you cannot even communicate respectfully in a respectful manner. You cannot demand submission from a woman when you've never learned discipline yourself. Now we have women that enter into a marriage over prepared to sacrifice, and men that enter into a marriage not even prepared for partnership. And you know what happens? The women become exhausted because all of a sudden they are everything. They are the support system of the home. She's the cleaner, she's the cook, the parent, the peacemaker, the therapist. Meanwhile, the men will only think, I'm here, am I not? What else do you want? Some of them will even ask those questions. What else do you want? I am here after all. I am coming back home every night. They think that is all it takes to be in a marriage, coming home every night. Marriage is not all about being there physically, it is also what we call emotional presence. Many women in marriages are there suffering emotionally. One thing that I want to clarify is that not all men are intentionally bad. Some of them become like that because they were never simply trained. Someone has grown up in a toxic home, and this looks like it's something normal. This man has grown up in a home where the mother is beaten to a pulp by the father, and the mother does nothing about it. The mother is always obedient. So this is how this man is gonna grow up. He's gonna think that, okay, if I need to put my wife in line, in check, I must beat her to a pulp, because this is all that he knows. He knows that the only way for him to get obedience or respect from the wife is if she's beaten to a pulp. This is someone that has grown up in an environment where has never seen anybody take accountability for anything. So this is what his life has been like. But that does not excuse anything, because yeah, I understand sometimes because of how we are brought up, sometimes it affects how we're going to be raised, but sometimes you can, thrive to be a better person from what you are used to or from what you know. And we don't talk about the double standards when it comes to marriages. A woman is expected to know everything. When she gets into a marriage, she's expected to know everything. She's supposed to know how to cook. If she talks too much, that's a problem. If she's emotional, that's a problem. If she doesn't submit properly, that's a problem. But a man can enter into a marriage very immature, unable to communicate, doesn't have any knowledge of parenthood, and this will be excused. You know why? Because he's a man after all, unable to communicate, and somehow the society is going to excuse that, and they will always say that's how men are. Tell me why me, someone that's never been a mother, when I finally get a child, you expect me to automatically know how to parent just because I am a woman. This is something that we all need to learn. But I want to say that no, that is not how men are. That is what happens when boys are raised without emotional responsibility. This is what we need to start doing as the next generation of African parents. We need to stop raising girls to be wives. We need to start raising our children, boys and girls, to be healthy adults. Teach your girls self worth outside of marriage, and teach your boys emotional intelligence. Teach your girls boundaries and teach your boys accountability. Stop teaching your girls to suffer, preparing them for suffering. Teach them that they deserve the best, they deserve partnership. Do not teach them to shrink for a man. Teach your boys about leadership. Do not tell them that you must control someone, you must do this so that you can be a leader, that a good leader has to be a no nonsense, you don't take disrespect. It's all about service, not about control. Let's teach our children to be better human beings. Do not segregate. I don't know how long this is going to take for our African communities to stop this hierarchy. And it's worse when this man goes to your home and sees your parents for maybe an introduction and pays bride price. Every small thing that man does, everything that man does to disrespect you, probably if the man cheats on you or does anything, everyone will not be looking at the fact that you are hurt. They'll be looking at, oh, but he paid bride price. Where will you find another man that will do that for you? You need to sit in your home. And obviously, if the man has provided you with a home, do not leave your home for anything. Do you want your child to die in a marriage with this man that was never trained to be a good husband before you know that, okay, men can be men? Tell me why you will always excuse the men for every little thing. Not even the worst things, they will always excuse them. It's so funny. Like a man will cheat, and because you've been brainwashed as a woman, you've seen your dad cheat on your mom several times, and the mom has always been staying praying, and you feel like, oh, I need to pray for the devil to stop, for the devil to leave. We need to stop training our girls to be wives. Let them aspire for other things in life apart from being a wife. In my village, for example, people my age probably have like 3, 4 children. People my age, girls my age. Do you know why? Because they reach an extent where they feel like getting married is the only thing that they need to do in life. Children dropped out of school, they became pregnant at very young ages. By the time that I joined university, it was so difficult to go in my village and find an unmarried woman of my age. And it was so heartbreaking. These are girls that we used to play with, and all of a sudden we wouldn't have any kind of communication. We wouldn't even sit down to talk. You know why? Because the moment you sit down, everything's gonna be about marriage. When are you getting married? When are you getting married? And when you get married, all of a sudden it's all about you pumping out babies. You need to have kids. If you even take like 2 years in a marriage without having children, oh my goodness, you're barren all of a sudden. She's barren. She's just eating our food. She's not giving us children. Get another wife. They are telling the men, get another wife. Do you know this is the problem? Like they do not expect that their men, their sons could ever be the problem. It's always the women. If there is an issue with getting children, it's automatically the woman that is barren. Obviously, they think men are automatically perfect since they are men after all. As I conclude with today's episode, I want to appeal to us, the upcoming African parents, that we need to do better. We need to do better with our children, not just our girl children, but all our children. A boy child and a girl child, we need to do better because of the way I used to see marriage in my community. I remember vowing that I would never get married. Like I said, I used to see marriage as slavery because I used to look at women struggling and suffering. And I'm like, but why is this woman married? What is she gaining from this marriage again? This woman is literally worshipping the ground this husband of hers walks on. This husband does not deserve it at all. She's doing everything. She's going in the market to sell stuff. She's doing this. She's paying tuition, but she has, this man that she's looking up to, worshiping. We have an example actually. Recently, we had a scandal on Ugandan TikTok where a lady came out and said her stepfather was graping her, was her stepfather assaulted her when she was 11 years. And her mother knew about it, but her mother stayed married. You get? So that's what I'm talking about. So this mother was trained to be patient, and it's worse when this person is religious. Religious people, I am sorry, do not come to attack me, but I'm just saying it is worse when this person is religious. Oh my goodness. It just becomes worse. Now they will mix culture and religion. So the mother knew about the man assaulting his daughter because her daughter, because the daughter told her, well, my stepdad did this to me not once, not twice, several times, every single day. And this lady tells the daughter to leave it to God. So I think we see where I am going with this. We see where I'm going with this, and we see what the whole point is. Our ladies are trained to compromise, be patient. So even if a man does something as gruesome as raping your child, you will still think, oh my goodness, I need to be patient. I need to pray about it because this is what you were told. And obviously, I think she did come up with a response, and she was talking about how she knew what the man was doing to her children, and but she couldn't leave the child because she's a prophet, and she was worried about what people would say. Obviously, they don't blame the man; they'll blame the lady because of what the husband did. So that was today's episode. Thank you so much for watching to the very end. And I really, really hope that you do better as an African parent. You need to do better for your children. Yeah. Thank you so much. I love you all. And I'll see you in the next episode. Have a lovely, lovely day. Take care. Bye.